My name is Erika, I'm a knitter from Brazil, and you are watching my 5th podcast episode. I know I don't usually record podcast episodes back to back. However, since the last time I filmed, I already accumulated a significant amount of progress in some of my projects that justifies me to update you on them, so I won't accumulate so much to talk in the next one. So today our episode will have a little different structure. I will go by date that the project is due, because the theme of today is deadlines. I have plenty of deadlines for May, and that's what I will be knitting for the end of April now and the next month or so. So we're going to approach those projects in this sequence. I have one finished object and I have with me 4 whips, but 3 of them are the ones with deadlines. Well, I have 3 projects that are due in the same date, right in the beginning of May, which are my Avalon Sweater and the 2 bandanas that I promised I would make for my sister. So let's start with one of them, which I already finished and is in my head right now. It's the Penelope Kerchief, and I forgot the name of the designer, but I will place it in the screen. The Penelope Kerchief is somewhat famous already in the knitting community. I think because High Fiber knitted some of them, so she popularized it, but I think it was already kind of famous before because it's a very efficient project and nice to knit, and it produces a cute result, as you can see here. Today we're having a kind of a green number. Even my decor back there, my bedding is green. But if you don't know, this is my elvin top by Cabled Cardigan. I have talked about them in the early videos of this year, in which I was working on this top. And I think the fact that I am wearing it today already says what you need to know about the weather. It's finally a little fresher today. So I'm not overheating, I can wear wool pretty nicely. And the yarn in which I knitted is knitting for olive merino in the colorway petrol green, I believe. So, my Penelope Kerchief. Let me show you in my hair and then I will take it off. And then I will show you just in your face. Here it is. You can see very nicely the lace panel here. You can see it very clearly now. I have cast on this, I forgot the date. The yarn is Charme Colorway Verde Musgo by Círculo. It's a sport weight yarn. I'm not sure if this pattern recommends a DK weight or a fingering weight, but I'm neither here nor there. I am in the middle. I had this leftover sport weight and I cast on this one. And again, another case of yarn chicken. My yarn ended right in the middle of the second strap, about here, when I was making it according to the pattern, because in the pattern this I-cord is a 4-stitch I-cord. I had cast on a 4-1 and I had made the first strap. I have bound off all of this with an I-cord bind off, and I got to this half of it, like about here, and it ended the yarn. So I took off the entire I-cord and I remade it with half the amount of stitches, and then I got just this tiny little bit of yarn left over. Optimal size, this one. And how do you make this one? You start casting on here a few stitches. You work the very first rows according to written instructions, and then she gives you written instructions and tells you to refer to the chart for the lace. So you need to know how to work lace from charts. Not complex at all. I don't used to work with charts, but I have done it before, and that was enough for me to be able to make it. It also is not recommended for like your very first lace project, because it works lace not only in the right side rows, but also sometimes not in the entire chart, but part of the chart works lace special stitches in the wrong side too. But it's not a mystery, to be honest. It's not the first time I knit lace, but it's almost, because I have knitted 2 or 3 projects with lace before. One of them was mesh, and it was in 10mm needles, not close to this complexity at all. I think for me, I would like to make it in fingering weight, or just another color, because not the best color for me. I'm not sure also about the I-cord finish. Maybe I would prefer a crochet finish, but anyway, you can substitute it pretty easily. It's a free pattern, and if you have a little bit of yarn and you want a quick project, quick satisfaction, I do recommend this one. It's very nice. I finished it in 3 afternoons, not even knitting the entire afternoon because I was working. So just in the very brief intervals that I wanted to relax a little bit, I then worked on it and it was ready pretty quickly. I only have to block it. I haven't blocked it yet because I'm working on the other one, which I will show you in a moment, and then I will block the two together. Let's go then to a whip, which is the other kerchief that my sister asked for. She asked for a black kerchief. She didn't say to me which one she wanted. It could be knitted or crocheted, and I decided to knit them. And I picked another free pattern for that, this one, which is the Rose Petal Bandana by Dagmar Tamura. I will post a link below. It's a quite easy pattern for a lace pattern. You can see it's all over lace this time. It's not a lace panel. So you don't have stockinette stitches here to give you a rest. It's always the chart, a little bit of written instructions, and you work the chart. There is a repeat in the chart that is highlighted, and when you finish working the chart, you have to continue, always adding to the side the repeat, the times that you need. It's quite simple. Once you have made it a few times, you can pretty much keep doing it quite easily without making mistakes. However, I haven't yet learned by heart the entire 6-row repeat. Maybe I will until the end of it. I have cast on this one not very far after that one. Well, when I finished this one, I have searched for other bandanas. None of them pleased me very much, and I decided that I was going to try and create my own for my sister. And then I went to stitch dictionaries and I searched for stitches. I found 2 in Barbara Walker's books, English Lace and Fleurette. I will post pictures, which I liked. These ones I liked very much, and I thought the English lace would fit the yarn very well. It would be nice in black, and it would kind of fit my sister. She's not very much of a lacy person, but this yarn would look good with lace, but not so good with cables or other things that might be more suitable for my sister. So I picked up something in the middle. However, that one lace stitch, it works with stitches in the wrong side. It makes lace in the wrong side and in the right side. And also I wasn't able to visualize how to construct the pattern from this very point here. Both of them have garter edges. Here you can see both of them have garter edges. Garter edges are not hard to do. However, I would like to have more stitch as my border and my filler stitches while I'm building the lace. I didn't want to make a lace insertion like the Penelope. I wanted all over lace, and I couldn't build the thing from the bottom up. I considered making it from top down or the contrary, but well, from the largest edge to the smallest edge. And I guesstimated how many stitches I would need. I cast on with this yarn and I didn't like to work with it. I still want to make bandanas with that lace because I found both of them very cute. The Fleurette doesn't fit my sister very much, but the Fleurette is easier. It only works with lace in the right side. And I went for one of the patterns that I had seen before, this one which seemed more simple and more interesting. The pattern is okay, I don't have a problem with it. I'm not loving to work with this yarn. I have worked with this yarn numerous times before, but I think the issue with it, first, it's better for crochet. I don't know if that's the twist or anything, but it works better for crochet. Apart from that, it's a little bit dry. I think it's because it has been open in my stash for some years, so I think it may have dried out somehow and it's not so pleasant to work. This one I made entirely in wooden needles. This one I started working on wooden needles and it just wouldn't go, so I transferred it for metal, which I like better. And it's going better now, but I don't feel very compelled to work with it. So it's in my desk, and I think I'm going to try to make 1 repeat every day, and until May 2 I should have the complete thing. I don't need that much more. You can see the diamonds here. I think I need another 4 diamonds in the center here, and I will get a good length. She just say work the chart all over until the length you desire, and then you stop and make a border that she teaches there. So you can make an entire shawl with this pattern. And with a soft yarn, this might be more pleasant. I like the black lace. Black lace and me are friends. Now, my third whip that has to be ready by May 2. And the one in which I have worked the most is my Avalon Sweater. And here it is. Remember in the last podcast episode we had like this much, and now we have almost the entire thing, you see? So yeah, it looks very nice. It's even blocked, you know? I gave this a mid-project block, and I will explain you why in a moment. Just admire it a little more. So, what happened? I engaged in this project, and it advanced very quickly. It's working in 4mm needles. I'm working with wool, so it's very pleasant in the fingers. And just in a moment, I got to the neckline, and I think I had a little bit of trouble in the neckline because I misread the instructions. And I was supposed to make some decreases in the corner here to shape it every other round. And I made it every round, and then it was snug. And I noticed that I was doing it in the very last round. When I was about to cast off the neckline, I noticed that something was wrong, and I checked the chart, and there it was. The instructions were different from what I imagined. So I undid everything. Luckily, it was only the neckline. You can see it's not a very long thing to work. You can see in the sample that it sits a bit higher. I like more open necklines, like this one, for example. So I cleared with the designer if I could modify it, and she said okay. So I cast off here earlier. She said I should pay attention to pick up enough stitches here. Maybe I would have to lengthen it from the recommendation in the pattern. And I did, but not so much, because what happens is that I also measured this distance here from the armpits to the shoulder, and it turns out it's a little bit short in me. So I ended up not having to increase very much the stitches I picked up here. We're working with a chart here in increments of stitches. I had to increase just one repeat. It sits very nicely. I will show you here. It was right after I finished the neckline, and everybody that saw it already liked it. Some people thought I was going to make a summer version sleeveless, but this one made me want to see it ready. Then I pick it up for the shoulder here. You see it's a satin shoulder here. She gives you numbers that are meant to give you a comfortable fit here with room. Then we decrease to get to the multiples to make the charts of this cuff. And I made this one, and I decided to make this one too. I had to also shorten this part from the instructions, because this one is supposed to hit the middle of our upper arm. And if I were to follow the pattern instructions, it would be maybe below my elbow. I adjusted the length here, and I made the other one. And then I got to this fit. Also very nice. And then I continued this sleeves. She said as long as we finished this one, we could have short sleeves, elbow length, 3/4 length. We could do what we wanted with this little bit here, the lower sleeve. And I thought that maybe I would like it to be a bell sleeve. One of the suggestions she mentions there is this. The instructions are for this sleeve, which are the sample. I decided to try the first sleeve as per pattern, and it's what you have here. It's quite skinny. It's supposed to be tapered. It's correctly in my arm. When I finished it, it was a little bit too snug for my taste. However, I have since blocked it, and it relaxed, not so much, but enough that it fits more comfortably now. However, I measured my gauge again in the finished work. Before blocking, my gauge was 23 stitches, while the pattern gauge is 20 stitches. So I am quite off gauge, and I think it helps with the fit that we see in the pictures, because that fit is a lot of negative ease. This pattern is meant to not have negative ease in all that parts. It has a little bit of negative ease on the bust, but it has neutral ease at the waist, and she has all the measurements, so you can even work picking from one size for this measurement and another size from that measurement. She teaches you how to mix it up for the different parts. Well, anyway, I think it has overall more negative ease than the pattern is intended to have. So in me, everything, the entire ensemble looks a little bit too snug. So I would like to try making a bell sleeve for the lower sleeve. And that's what I started making here. I did not undo this, because if this doesn't work, I will just make the pattern sleeve. I was considering how I could make this, and I researched about it, and I got one answer. I will post the link below. They tell you to knit to the part that you want fitted, and then from there you divide your number of stitches by 6, and you increase in both sides of your stitch marker, the 6 stitch markers, and you increase then 12 stitches every time, every other row or every fourth row. I'm not sure that I want to make this because I have a lot of rows here. If I'm going to increase every other row or every fourth row, I will either get to a very large sleeve, or I will get to a large sleeve very quickly here, and then it will fall flat for the rest, and it may look strange. Then I was looking to the paintings imitating medieval style that she used as inspiration, and you can see that the people here, they have a snug sleeve under, and they have a larger sleeve on top of it, falling like this. It falls only to one side, and I thought that this might be interesting. So I came up with these 3 options. There is the original sleeve, then there is this first sleeve, is what I tried to do here. This, it imitates a bracelet. You have wrapped the creases here. I consider that it's as if the bracelet is cinching in the thing here, and as soon as the bracelet ends, the fabric will be uncinched very quickly too, and it will grow like that. You can see I did that. I started by increasing every other row, and then I switched to every fourth row. I was going to make 8, 6, 4, and then 2, doubling the space between my increases. Then I would make every 8th row and then every 16th row until I finished the sleeve. However, I think it will make a very angled sleeve, and when I finish it, it will be like that. And that's bordering on costume, which is not what I want. My second option here, I would still increase only in the inner side of the sleeve. I would go from the number of stitches that we have here until the original number of stitches that we cast on here. I would pick the difference and divide among the rows that I have to get the length that I want, which I already know because I know how many rows I needed here. Then every 11 rows, every so and so, I would increase 2 stitches. It would give me a continuous and very subtle flare. And the third option here is to make what I explained at first about the 6 places, and I increase every other row like in the round, kinda like you do with a circular yoke. I tried the first one. I think it's a fail, so I will unpick this one and I will try the second one. I think the second will work. Let's see. If the second doesn't work, am I willing to try the third way? I don't know. It will depend on how much time I have left for the end of the deadline, considering that I still have to go back and fix this one. Well, let me stop here and ask, which of the 3 options do you prefer? Can you spot any problem beforehand with any of them? And do you have any tips to make them better? If I were to choose the third option, how could I make it so that it won't fall flat from up here and that it won't also become too huge? Those are my questions, if you can help me with that. And that's it for now. I'm really enjoying this project. You can see the tension issues remain, and I want to, in the weekend or as soon as possible, to come back and make duplicate stitch here because I really like it. I like the project and I don't like that. But I hope that in the next episode you will see it entirely and you will see it fixed here, everything as it should be. Now I have my mall, my make-along that I am participating in. I think the deadline for it is May 8 or May 18. One of those. But I am already convinced that I won't match it. That's what I have of my cardigan. You already saw it in the pictures from the last episode, and I haven't advanced since because it became my waiting room knitting. So I'm knitting it outside of the house. I haven't been outside of the house last week, so I didn't move forward from that. It's the sleeves, one of the sleeves. So you can imagine that apart from finishing those other projects, I would have to cast on and finish the other sleeve, 2 fronts, 1 back, seaming everything together, making the button band, sewing the buttons, and I think that's it, and finishing this one, of course. So you can see that's too much trouble to make in 2.5mm needles until May 18. Only if I only did that in my life, maybe. But I work and I have other projects and I have other hobbies and everything. So this won't be ready for them all. I have accepted that. But I wanted to show you anyway, because it's moving. It's a thing. Remember, it was so hard to start, and well, I still have to film a little bit for my dedicated video, but that's it. What I think it may be too small, and that would be such a shame. But you can see here, it barely wraps around my arm. However, it is basically ribbon. This pattern, it's a ribbon with a twist, so I think that it might fit, like, you know, like that. I almost want to sew it beforehand to show here. It might fit. Be very snug though. Who knows? And one thing I didn't like, but now that I made here, I will have to make in the other two, is this. It's how I increase it here. I have to increase in pattern, right? But I can only complete one pattern here from here. So before that, I was only increasing, then there is no twist. So it looks like this big bulk here. I should have made pearls here until I could create a pattern, then I switched everything to the knits that make up this one. I didn't, so better luck next time. I will not undo this. And that's it. I think it's looking cute, but there's nothing much to show. I have cast on the ribbon for the other sleeve because I wanted a project to work while I watched movies and played games with my boyfriend, and it had to be something mindless. I didn't have anything mindless. This one wasn't in a mindless moment, and so I cast on that one, but I didn't even bring it because I had knitted like 2 rows. Well, that's it for now. My other deadline is Mother's Day. I forgot about it, but we have Mother's Day in May 11 in Brazil this year, so it's actually before the other one, but I didn't brought anything to show you because I didn't cast on the project yet. I wanted to cast on it, but I was waiting to get my nails in a decent state so I could film the process of making my mom that vest I want to make for her. I think it's doable because it's in a 7mm needle. I might not get to the very end, but I might go a long way and then I finish in the next days and give her. But I want to try to make this one, and it would be excellent for distracted knitting as well. It would be excellent not as a portable project maybe, but for TV knitting and that kind of thing. So next time I will show you it cast on. I intend to cast this on today or tomorrow, and I'm delaying it a bit because I want to cast on with a tubular cast on. I'm not sure that I will do it, but I think I will, and I think I might get this deadline. I'm not sure though. And the last whip of this episode, of which I don't have properly a deadline, but I kinda do, which is the very end of the year, December 31, is my temperature blanket. I wanted to show you because I started joining it here. This is the first 17 days, and this is the beginning hexagon. It is 18 hexagons wide and 21 hexagons long. So this is a little over half January, and I also have joined the second one of January, which you can see it was pretty hotter to the end of it here. I have to add a few more hexagons, another white one, this one, and then a few ones from February to complete the 18 hexagons, and then I will join the 2 rows here. And I plan on, as soon as possible, joining all that I have. I'm very behind in April because I still don't have the orange yarn, so many days were left behind, and the first days were left behind, so I won't be able to attach the April hexagon. But I think I will maybe be able to get like this length or so of the blanket already here, and I'm joining it with an invisible join, which is the recommended from the pattern. I tried another type before, but then she was making such a good work join with the ends of the yarns. You join one hexagon to the other with the end of the previous one, and this is also a way to weave in our ends, so I loved the idea and I decided to make this too. Not very hard to make it, very easy and kind of quick. I just didn't take the time to sit and do it with all of them. But here it is. The weather is fresher now, so we're getting more days now like this, and like this one with a green in the inside, so I can already make some of my April hexagons, but far from all. That's it. That's my January. My February hexagons are all with the third one. My March too, all now is with the third color. And I think I will be able to finish this. So that's it for now, folks. I considered adding off the needle segment. Tell me if you would like that, because I filmed one for the last podcast episode, but when I was editing it, I felt a little silly, so I didn't include it in the video. But I was talking about a book that I was reading with my boyfriend and a game that we were playing together too. Both quite interesting, for me at least, but I don't know if it would be interesting for you to listen. So tell me if you would like an off the needle segment, and maybe I will include it in the next one. And also, if you can share these videos, if you think someone will like those videos, please share them and like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what are you working on. Let me know what you have been up to. And be happy, be healthy, happy knitting, and I see you in the next one. Bye bye.